Well, ask a situation that you might find yourself in then that would stump you. What would? Has anything come up recently?
You familiar with the song, No One Knows You When You're Down Out there clapping the toilet?
I know the song you mean, I don't know it.
Okay. It's
take the guitar for a moment.
And you guys are welcome to play this if you want to.
I want to try it before you're done.
Yeah.
It's played in the key of, well, it seems like it's played in the key of C, but it has a lot of, it has a whole lot of A.
Okay.
Yeah. There's
Non-diatonic type chords.
yeah, and my question is, if you're playing a solo over that, what key do you use? C? I mean, there's just...
It's in the key of C, but it's using secondary dominants. So those sevenths are secondary dominants. Do you know what secondary dominants are?
Yeah, you need to
elaborate. Okay. Any diatonic chord, i.e. any chord that is built from the major scale, can be preceded by its 5 chord. In other words, the 5 chord can come before it. Let me give you an example of that. So you can change it to be that. The Beatles did it a lot, right? It's when you hear those sevenths that you go, God, that's really cool when they did that, right? So if we were in the key of, well, let's do it in the key of C. So if you've got your C major chord, okay, so could we precede the 1 chord with its 5? Which is what we just said, right? We can precede any diatonic other than the 7, because the 7 doesn't function as a 1. So what would be the 5 of C?
G.
Be a G7, wouldn't it? Is that in the key anyway? Yeah. Alright, so that's pretty simple, that one. Okay, so let's go to A minor. What would be the 5 of A minor?
E.
E7. Okay, is E7?
That's the very next
Okay, so I'm qualifying that. So that is 5 of 2. 5 of 2 chord. Yeah, alright. Okay, so let's move up. So we've got E minor now. What would be 5 of E minor? B. B7. So is B7 in there?
Not to my knowledge.
I'm not sure it is. Okay, but it doesn't negate this. So, but B7 would be 5 of 3. Alright, and you could put this in this, you know. Hear it?
That's 5 of 3. Okay.
Alright.
The third is
The B7, or no, the E minor.
E in the key of C is the 3rd chord.
Yes.
Okay.
So you've got C major, D minor, E minor, but I did the B7 before it. And you know why that works? Because it really pulls you towards the chord. That's what 5 chord dominance
resolve back to the tonic.
wants to go to its temporary 1. Yeah. This is the temporary 1. Alright, let's go to the 4 chord. So F, what's 5 of F? C. C7, right? Is C7 in that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? And I bet it goes to the F afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, a little 7.
Right, okay, so that's 5 of 4. Let's go to the 5 chord. This is going to qualify one of the chords for sure. So you've got a G chord, G major, right? It was 5 of G. D. Right, so is that right? D7's in there, isn't it? So that would be 5 of 5. Right, so these are all 5 ofs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so forth. Now let's see what's. Now we've got an A minor chord, right? What's.
We've got a lot of A7 in this, so it's E. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We've got 5 of A's.
So what's 5 of A? It's the E7, right? So that qualifies that. On the 7 chord, because the 7th isn't deemed a chord that you can resolve to or function temporarily as 1, you don't typically use 5 of 7. That's not to say you couldn't, but it's not typical. But that's what's happening in that progression.
And that's called secondary dominant?
Yeah. So what they're doing is basically substituting the 5 of any diatonic chord. Yeah.
Lovely.
Once again, I foresee hours of practice.
I was just about to pull my wallet
But
out.
what you could do, but what you could do is just try that for yourselves. You know, in the key of C, well, what's 5 of that? Well, G. So, all right, I hear that. So next is D minor. What's 5 of that? Oh, A7. And you can hear it, can't you? That it's working. And that's what you were playing, wasn't it? The A7 thing here. So that's how that stuff works. I'm going to throw another concept at you that I don't know if you will know this at all, but do you know what modal interchange is?
It's when the highways run.
It's basic. Modal interchange is parallel major and minor keys. So if you have the key of C major and the key of C minor, and you lay them out,
Okay.
all right, you would basically have E flat major, wouldn't you, for the C minor and C major? Well, you can interchange those chords and make progressions out of them. So the Beatles were doing things like that, plus the secondary dominants. So it's not just diatonic chord progressions anymore, it's chromaticism and interchange and chord substitution. And it's all that stuff. But that's where it starts getting interesting, you know. So if you had C major, we'll just do the first 3. So C major, D minor, E minor. Then we did modal interchange. Then we've got diminished on the 2, right? And then we've got E flat. Well, you could interchange all of those chords. We're only using the first 3 so far, so. Can you hear that you could put a progression probably together with that?
You're taking chords from C and you're taking chords from E flat.
Yeah,
To
so
build
C
it.
major and C minor.
And so you're taking, so you're mixing C and C minor, and then what was the other chords that you were, what were the actual chords you were
Okay,
playing?
so what I was doing was using the E flat major scale, which is C minor,
Right.
but running it from the C, so it runs parallel to C major.
Oh, okay.
So it's parallel major minor, that's what modal interchange is. So what I did was the first chord is C major,
Okay.
D minor,
D minor.
D minor 7, E minor 7. Then I went back to make C minor, right, so I'm starting at 1 from C minor. This would be 2 diminished, right, flat 3 major, or E flat if you like, if you think of that as 6.
Okay, I see what you I thought you were like going from C to E, C to E. Instead, you did the first one to C, and then the next you did E flat.
Yeah, I was just trying to make, you know, a musical example of it, but, you know, so there's the first 3. There's the 2 of the thing to E flat. Back to there. So it just gives you great options for progression.
Yeah, no, I see a whole world open up there.
Yeah.
I've never thought about even anything like that.
I mean, one of the things that you could do is write down 2 staves of music and, you know, bar lines and just put the chords for each and go, well, look at the options I've got. You know, for a songwriter, that's, you know, incredible. And then if you put the secondary dominants in there as well, then there's pivot chord modulation.
Oh, no, not that.
And, you know, but you see what I'm saying? So it just goes crazy. It really opens up.
It's fascinating.
What is it? The modulation, is that like taking a point and then modulating up to a 5 and then creating a whole nother,
Yeah, so pivot chord modulation is...
go up a 4th or whatever?
Yeah, I'll see if I can do an example of it on the fly. Well, I guess do it where we were. So C. Now the pivot chord could be...
You really gotta go out.
this 3, for example. Right, so let's say.
Okay, settle down. Settle down.
Did you hear that? So what I did was a 2,
Calm
5,
down.
1. Instead of thinking that as 3, I used it as a pivot chord
Calm.
modulation. So it's 1, 2, 3, but now I'm going to
Make it
make
2.
this 2,
Right.
5, 1. Now I'm in the key of D.
Right.
See
Okay.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but that's probably more than I'm up for at this point.
I'm officially educated beyond my intelligence.
But it gives kind of food for thought. Right?
Yeah, oh, it does. It does. It
Well,
does.
if
a
you've
great
got a
deal.
song that you want to change keys, you've got to figure out how to get there.
Yeah.
Rather than, for me, it's always been, well, go up a fifth.
Well, one of the things, yeah, right, that's a good way of doing it. Minor thirds are great, and they're really dynamic key changes, especially for solos. And it's figuring out, like, if you went from E major, let's say, and then that's one of them that where you can, and you hear it go, pivot through from the D. But those are really powerful mods, direct modulation, you can just do, so minor thirds are good for direct modulations.
You can do a series on modulation, I would imagine.
I was going to say, what's this song? Is it Hey Joe?
Right.
Where it's like, the song is split between 2 keys or something. It's like D, C, I can't remember the chords now.
Yeah.
But I've always thought of that as some sort of modulation, where it's actually, it's either fourths or fifths that the song goes to.
I think
isn't it?
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It does go up there now.
It just keeps cycling.
Do you have a band?
I'm playing with a guy called Matthew James, and we're doing a bunch of my songs and doing some covers that are just we've totally done very differently. What do you think, Barry?
Nice. Wait till you see your set.
Is it cool? Great. And do you need any help in that?
We'll need you shortly, so we'll
Okay.
shout out
Okay.
and then we'll frame up, set it up, maybe sound check, then do lunch, and then come down and shoot.
Yeah, I sent you all the new stuff, so I tweaked it and it's all there. Okay.
Well, what did you
So what
order?
I do, we've done, I'll give you an example.
Novel that.
Hey, trust me,
What's your username?
getting it back's harder than
We got a whole course here, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, really.
You may want to get this tape.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, that's a nice record.
Isn't that great? I love the 9-inch radius. Isn't that great? Feels comfortable.
I was going to give it to you.
Sounds pretty good, doesn't it, for a little tranny out?
You only need 3 chords before you came in.
Yeah, it comes with a bunch of chords as well.
Reach over here. Have you tried those beats?
Yeah. Do you like
It's funny. Whenever you start out, it seems like